My name is Maggie Dunbar, and I found out my sister had tried to humiliate the whole county's opinion of me while I was kneeling in frozen straw at 3 in the morning with both arms inside a laboring cow. The phone was buzzing in the pocket of my coveralls over and over, and I could not answer it because I had a calf turned the wrong way and a first-time heifer who was going to die if I let go. And Earl Tibbets was holding a flashlight in his teeth and praying out loud to a god he only visits in emergencies. So the phone just buzzed against my hip in the dark while I worked, and I assumed it was another farmer with another animal in trouble. Because at 3 in the morning in this county, that is the only reason anyone calls me. It did not once occur to me that it was buzzing because of my sister Whitney and a photograph, and a caption meant to end me. So let me tell you how a picture designed to make the whole county pity me turned into the night the county finally answered back, and why, when it was over, I still would not do the one thing every single one of them expected me to do. Back up a few days. I come from a family that measures a person by their surfaces, and by that measure I am the failure. My sister Whitney is the success. She has the curated life, the spotless car, the clothes with the right little labels stitched inside, the social media where every moment is lit and framed and captioned to look like winning. And I am the one who drives a rusted-out truck that smells permanently of iodine and manure, who shows up to family dinners with dirt under my nails and hay in my hair because I came straight from a barn, who could never explain, at a table that did not want to hear it, what I actually do. What I actually do is keep this county alive from the inside of its barns. I am the large animal veterinarian for a stretch of rural Vermont where the nearest other one is 2 hours away, which means when a dairy farmer's whole livelihood is dying in the straw at 3 in the morning in February, I am the only number that matters. I have pulled calves in blizzards. I have saved herds from outbreaks that would have bankrupted families who have farmed the same hills for 100 years. I have knelt in more freezing barns than I can count and put my hands inside frightened animals and brought life out into the cold. And I want to be very plain about something because I know the story you are expecting. I am not secretly rich. There is no hidden fortune here. Large animal vets are famously, almost comically poor, and I drive the rusty truck for the least mysterious reason on earth because the work barely pays and I pour what little it does back into it. My net worth would make my sister laugh. That was never the point. My worth was never in my account. It was in other people's barns, standing up on wobbly new legs. There was an old vet named Vera who trained me, a small, ferocious woman who had been driving these same roads for 40 years, and Vera taught me the thing that became the whole shape of my life. My first winter, a workhorse went down thrashing in a stall, half a ton of terror, and I panicked and grabbed and pulled and nearly got both of us killed. Vera hauled me back by the collar. She said no. When an animal that size is drowning in fear, you do not grab it and you do not yank and you do not thrash back at it. You will lose. You become the still hand. You get low and quiet and steady, and you become the one fixed point in the whole panicking world, and you wait, and the frightened thing settles itself against your stillness. Be the still hand, she said, and you can move an animal 10 times your size. Fight it, and it will break you both. Be the still hand. I have run my life on those 4 words, and I never once explained them to my family, because you cannot explain stillness to people who mistake noise for worth. Now I have to be honest about my part, because there are 2 ways to tell this, and only one of them is true. Why did I never defend myself at those dinners? Why did I let them believe I was just a woman who drives around to barns? Because I tried, early on, and it was crushed every time. I would start to explain what a night in a calving barn actually costs a person, and Whitney would check her phone, and my Uncle Dale would ask when I was going to get a job with a future, and so, somewhere along the way, I stopped. I went quiet, and here is the part I own. The quiet started as protection, and then it hardened into a wall, and the wall was mine. I told myself I was above needing their approval. What I was really doing was withdrawing and calling it dignity. Both of those things are true, and I need them both to be true, or I am no more honest than the picture Whitney took. The picture? Whitney took it the Sunday before all this, in our mother's driveway, when I came to dinner straight off a hard day, filthy and exhausted, climbing down out of the rusty truck. She snapped it from the porch and she posted it that night, after midnight, for maximum reach, and the caption said, "Some people drive rusty trucks their whole lives." My sister is 41 and still playing farm vet in a truck held together with rust and hope. At some point, you have to accept your reality, and the county did what the internet does. Within a day, it had hundreds of likes and a long tail of strangers agreeing that some people just never amount to much. My Uncle Dale shared it with a note about hard truths. My cousin Trevor called it harsh but fair. My Aunt Pam, who has never once been unkind to my face, quietly liked it. That is the part that hollowed me out, not Whitney, the rest of them nodding along. And then, 3 nights later, at 3 in the morning, with my arms inside Earl Tibbets's dying heifer, my phone would not stop buzzing, and I did not know yet that the picture had turned around. Because Earl had seen it. Earl Tibbets, 71 years old, who does not understand the internet, had his granddaughter show him the post, and Earl had dictated a comment to her that simply said, "This woman drove through a whiteout last winter to save my whole herd, and would not take a dime she knew I did not have. You should be ashamed." And something about an old farmer's plain sentence broke a dam, because it turned out half the county had a Maggie story and had just never said it out loud. The dairy family whose barn I quarantined at 2 in the morning to stop an outbreak. The kid whose 4-H calf I saved for free. The widow whose old horse I sat with so it would not die alone. One after another, they came into the comments under my sister's cruel little caption, and they told the truth. And the picture Whitney meant as a tombstone became, instead, the first time this county ever said out loud what I was worth to it. That is what people mean when they say something went public, not a stock. My whole quiet life, suddenly said out loud, by the people who had been carrying it in their barns. I finished with Earl's heifer just before dawn. The calf lived. I remember standing in that barn in the gray light, shaking with exhaustion, finally reading my phone, hundreds of notifications, and I did not feel triumphant. I felt strange and raw and seen in a way I had spent years hiding from. And then the family calls started, and that is where this stops being a story about vindication and becomes a story about the thing I refused to do. Because now they all wanted me. Overnight, my Uncle Dale texted about how he had always believed in me. My cousin Trevor, who had called the post harsh but fair, now wanted to know if I needed a business partner, if there was money in expanding the practice. My Aunt Pam sent flowers. And my sister Whitney called 11 times and then showed up on my porch the next evening, mascara streaked, holding takeout from the place we loved as kids, and she said the thing the source of every one of these stories says. She said, "I am so sorry, I did not know. Can you ever forgive me? Tell me what I can do. I will do anything to make this right." And here is the thing every part of that moment was begging me to do. Forgive her on the spot. Say there is nothing to forgive. Fold her back in, give her a roll, let the whole grateful, groveling family come rushing back through the door now that the county had told them I mattered. That is how it is supposed to go. I have watched that ending 100 times and I have come to hate it because it rewards the behavior. It teaches everyone at that table that contempt costs nothing, that you can shame your sister to hundreds of strangers, and all it takes to erase it is one tearful porch visit once you find out she was worth being kind to. So I did not do it, but I also did not do the other thing, the thing the angriest voices wanted, which was to tell Whitney to go to hell and cut them all off and salt the earth. Vera did not teach me to grab and yank and thrash. I became the still hand. I said, "Whitney, sit down." And I sat with her on my cold porch steps and I told her the truth, quietly, without heat, which is the only way I know to say a hard thing so it lands. I said, "You did not humiliate me. You humiliated yourself, and I happened to be in the photograph. And I am not going to sit here and tell you there is nothing to forgive, because that would be a lie, and I am done with the lies in this family, including my own. There is a great deal to forgive, not the one picture. the years. The checked phones and the little digs and the whole long habit of measuring me by my truck. And forgiveness, real forgiveness, is not a thing I hand you across a porch because the county embarrassed you into apologizing. It is a door I will leave open a crack, and you will walk through it slowly, over a long time, by showing me you have actually changed. And I will believe you have changed not when you say sorry, but when you are kind to someone who can do absolutely nothing for you. Then I said the part I needed to say for myself. I said, and I owe you one truth back. I went quiet on this family for years and called it dignity, and some of that silence was a wall I built, and I am sorry for the wall. But a wall is not the same as a wound, and what you all did was a wound, and I am not going to pretend they weigh the same just to make tonight comfortable. She cried, I let her. I did not rescue her from it. And when she asked again what she could do, whether she could invest in the practice, help me expand, put her name on it, I said no. No job, no money, no partnership. Not because I am punishing you, but because the practice is not a prize for you to win now that it turned out to be real. If you want back into my life, there is a 9-year-old who needs you to be better than you have been, and that is where you start. Because there was one person in that family I did open the door all the way for, and it was not one of the adults who came running. It was Whitney's daughter, my niece Junie, who is 9, and whom this family has already started to file under difficult because she would rather be elbow deep in a chicken coop than smiling for a photo. Junie had messaged me, from her mother's old phone, one line, days before any of it went public. It said, Aunt Maggie, I don't think your truck is embarrassing. I think you're the coolest person I know. That was worth more than every apology that came after. So Junie rides with me now, on Saturdays, in the rusty truck, learning to be still and low and quiet next to frightened animals 10 times her size, learning the thing it took me half my life to learn. My Uncle Dale and my cousin Trevor and my Aunt Pam get from me exactly what they gave me for years, which is polite distance and no bitterness and nothing more, an open hand and a closed wallet. And Whitney is somewhere in the slow middle, walking through a door that is open only a crack, proving or not proving, one ordinary Saturday at a time, whether she can be kind to a child who cannot do a single thing for her. I told Junie the thing Vera told me, our first cold morning together in a barn, when a heifer twice her size started to panic and Junie's instinct, like mine once was to grab. Do not grab, I told her. When something huge and frightened is thrashing at you, and someday people will thrash at you, with contempt when you are down and with flattery the second you are up, you do not yank back and you do not thrash. Both of those are the same mistake. You get low and quiet and steady, and you become the one still thing in the whole panicking world, and you wait, and you let the fear settle itself against your stillness. Be the still hand. It is the only way I know to move something far bigger than you without letting it break you. My family spent years measuring me by my rusty truck, and when the whole county finally told them what I was actually worth, they came running, not with love but with appetite. If I had grabbed the money and grabbed the apology and grabbed the sudden warmth, I would have taught every one of them that shame is free, and that worth is only real once a crowd confirms it. Instead, I stayed still. I kept the door open a crack for the one who might really change. I opened it all the way for the child who already saw me, and I let the rest have my calm and nothing else. So if there is someone in your life you have measured by their truck, their bus, their small, unglamorous life, and you are only now finding out what they were worth all along, do not come running with your appetite. Come slowly. Come to someone who can do nothing for you. And when they meet you not with a grab and not with a fist, but with a strange, unhurried stillness, understand that you are not being rewarded and you are not being punished. You are being asked, quietly, to finally become someone worth letting in.